Hey y'all, and welcome back to Skyrim Scripting. On this episode, we are continuing the work that we were doing to make a mod that's kind of like the Add Item Menu mod. Ta-da! But for spells, hooray! So there's this Add Item Menu mod, which is super duper duper popular. It's awesome. Everybody should probably have it and use it. And I was looking for an idea for a mod, and I found an idea in the posts for this mod. Someone wanted to see it for spells, so I wanted to see what it would take to make this for spells, and just as a good opportunity to learn how to call some new papyrus functions, and how to learn how to use UIExtensions, which is the UI library that's being used here. And so in the first episode, we created something that lets you search for a spell by name, and it would search for spells across the whole base game and all mods. But for us, that was just one function call because we are relying on Power of Three's Papyrus Extender, which already had this functionality built in. So we're just calling a function that already exists to get all the spells in the game. And then it would show a list of all the spells, minus the ones that our player already has, so just the ones that the player might want, and let you click on them and it would teach the player the spell. And then we switched to, in episode 2, creating this little list. I'll show you what we have now because we're just coming out of episode 2. And then I think we're going to go back and we're going to make the search work because we turned off the search functionality because I want to clean it up. Wrong game. Alright, here we go. You can hear the rain, but you can't see because I'm not showing you the desktop. It's raining, it's nice and rainy out. I love it. So just as a reminder, it adds these spell tomes to our inventory. Here I'm using Sky UI, but it's not required for everything. It's required for the magic menu selector that we are using. And we'll make sure that the mod works with and without it. So our mod adds some spell tomes that you can use to learn spells, but it also, just for testing purposes, goes ahead and adds these spells. And also for testing purposes, it starts off the player at the beginning of the game with the spell already equipped so that we can just jump in the game, cast the spell. So what it does, and if you've used Add Item Menu, this is very familiar to you, is it just adds these lists of plugins that you've got and masters. So we'll look at all of the spells here in this thingy, and here's all the 6 spells that come with this mod. That mod called whatever its name was. And if you look at AddSpellMenu, not only does AddSpellMenu have 2 spells, these ones, but we're still seeing the spells from the mod that we just looked at. Let's see if we see the AddSpellMenu spells when we go back here. It's like it's not getting rid of any of the spells. So we got a couple things to do. One, we added a list of, I closed my Visual Studio Code. No, don't run. We've got a list of things that we were writing down that we wanted to do to go through in this episode. So let's go to that list. Let's add to it. There's the obvious bug that we're seeing, but what else did I just want to do? Second of all, I just had a freaking... It's the thing I realized. Well, I mean, there's fix. It's showing spells from the previously clicked on mod. That's super wrong. What else did we just see in there that I wanted to change? I wish this were Twitch and then y'all could remind me. Oh, let's maybe have AddSpellMenu not show up in the list, because why would you want to see AddSpellMenu as 2 spells? That just seems weird. So let's hide AddSpellMenu from the list. Because you're going to need the spells to cast the spell, so why would you have the spells to cast the spell? Whatever, it's an option. So we kind of rushed some things last time. At the end, I had to go to Dungeons and Dragons, which I did, and it was pretty good. Anything that's commented out we can get rid of. So my guess is that this whole reset spells thing isn't working. Because we were just in game, we opened up the spells for one mod, and then we opened them up for another mod, and we got to see the spells for both of those. So that's no good. That's no good at all. Let's do this. So we do this thing where we reset spells. What if I kind of want to code this up differently. And I kind of want to get rid of this barter NPC wrapper that we have and refactor it to something different. Because here's what I want. Maybe. I don't know. This should actually be working. We call it with nothing, and so it defaults to the bartering NPC, which is the NPC that represents kind of that menu of spell options to choose from. And so we loop through their spell count, and we remove their spells until they're out of spells. I don't know, if not NPC, if NPC equals none, basically the same. I don't think that's it. Oh, and I also want to, let's move these out to a doc. Re-ESLify the mod, because we un-ESLified it. Let's call these, ooh, I already have an AddSpellMenu, but it's old, I'm sure. It had what we initially wanted to do. Right, so let's fix this. I'm tempted to fix it by walking through and making that search work again. Which is kind of cheating, but it allows me to refactor with a new thought process. Trade with the secondary actor is the player. Oh, you could pull this stuff out of trade up in here. I don't want to play with this without you. I don't like how this reset spell stuff is done, but I also just don't want to sit and refactor because that's boring. So let's make the search work, and as we go, I'll kind of refactor this into a new file. I think it's a little bit more exciting if we do it that way. So we commented all of this out. So right now, if we cast the search We don't get anything. Allow us to fix that. Let's make it do things. If we look at the list, then what it does is this. It asks a mod chooser to show up, and it'll get the selected mod chooser. And so let's do something basically exactly like that. We'll do a string search query equals, and then we added this little search box. So let's do that. Add spell menu. Come on. Come on, complete. Come on, yo. I'm screencasting. Come on. Alright. 2 seconds later, it started completing. So let's have this search box thing have like a show function, and it'll show the text box. It'll just be a little nice little wrapper for us, so it's easier. So we'll do a string function show, and it'll just wrap this little bit of code that we had before. It's almost not worth it, but I want to. Cool. Kind of want to switch to more consistently using a for the main menu, for the magic menu, we're using a slightly different interface. So I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to say UI text entry menu, text entry menu equals UI extensions dot get menu. UI text entry menu. I don't like how you have to repeat it all this much. As UI text entry menu, and then we just say text entry menu dot open menu, and then we just return text entry menu dot get result string. Done, done, done. We compile, compilation failed. Oh, I didn't make it global. Trying to find the right balance of zoom for y'all. Okay, cool. And because we're gonna work on search, let's switch it to the actor's equipped hand, or one of them. Maybe let's do this. We'll have one of their hands equip the left hand will have the list spell, and the right hand will have the search spell. I always forget which mouse button does which though, so we'll get used to it. Oh, I feel like I'm waking up. I kind of wanted to record something different, like maybe a mini series on just using UI extensions or something. But I knew if I didn't hop back in and finish this one, I would super regret it. Because we should get it done. We should get it done and done and done. That one, left mouse button, is a search box, and that's it. Cool. I meant to say hello, not hello. Hell. Cool, and then this one will cast this regular one. Cool. Now, let's hate that that's angry. Oh, it's happier now. Cool, it's happy now. So we get the result, and we basically need to say if there was a result, like if it's not equal to empty, because that's what you'll get. Then we want to find all of the spells that match this, and then we want to show the chooser. So when we get all the spells that match, I kind of want to be going through and populating an NPC with it, with all the spells that we want to show, because then we're going to attach that NPC to the to kind of the trade window. So I kind of want to say like actor trade NPC, or like a spell container, actor spells container equals, we'll get it from somewhere, and then say search and find all the spells and add it to this container. So we'll say like we have a search box, and these are menus and barter stuff. How about AddSpellMenu spell search or something like that. We might end up turning it into a more generalized search thing. Okay, and that will have a function that lets you provide a an actor, and it will populate that actor with all of the found, like basically as a container. It'll do like a function, we can return a boolean for whether or not it finds any. I don't want to forget that. Boolean search spells. Search all spells because it's not specific to a mod. And we'll say string partial name or something, partial spell name. That's the query. We could say search query or whatever. And actor as a container. I'll call it a spells container. I don't want to forget to return that bool. So what we'll do here then is we'll just basically grab all the spells in the game. We'll say spells. We'll use the same logic that we did before, but I might just rewrite it out because it's easy. Power of 3 SKSE functions get all spells. Come on. Come on. We weren't having any trouble with this in the previous episode. This thing's killing me. compilation failed, spell search 5. It's not in a function. Okay, that's fair. That's fair for the autocomplete to not work if our code is completely invalid. Get all spells, and we only want to get the AB is playable ones where they have a spell tome. Otherwise we end up with weird things. And we'll make that configurable at some point. Make AB playable spell configurable. Okay, so we're not responsible for resetting the container. We could say and populate container with matches. If we wanted to be like super explicit. So I might want to do a I'm going to copy this. We'll delete the borrow NPC, and I'm just going to say AddSpellMenu NPCs. And it's just going to be a utility for NPCs. Because I want reset spells. I could call it NPC util. No, I want NPCs. So from the search, let's get an NPC to act as a container. So let's get AddSpellMenu NPCs there's two NPCs that we use, one for trading, the main kind of container. They're both containers, and the other one is a player container. So there's like the trader container and the player container. Get trader container NPC. Because we use them basically just as a container for spells. And then we could say reset spells equals true. So a function that returns an actor is get the trader container NPC. And that happens to be this one. Say actor function get mod actor. So here we'll say get mod actor and we'll return it. And this is our bartering actor ID. And get mod actor returns this. There's two containers. There's the trader container NPC and there's the player container NPC, NPC that kind of represents the player. This is their form ID. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. And let's say bool reset spells. And we'll say actor, the actor equals that as actor. If reset spells and the actor exists, then let's see, actually if the actor is none, that should never ever happen. So let's find out. So if reset spells, then we'll call reset spells on the actor. And we'll return the actor. Cool. I wish you could do one-liners like this in Papyrus. But you can't. Not that I know of. So let's go back to our search effect. Get trader container NPC. See if anything isn't compiling. Things compile, but that's still angry at me. It shouldn't be angry, it's compiling though. Okay, cool. So when we search, we get the search query from the user. If the search query was provided, then we get a fresh actor to represent our container for spells. Then we perform a spell search. And we search all the spells and we populate this container with all of the results, which I think we need to implement. But then once we, which we can do from the code down here that we're going to move over there. Once we have all of it, let's just say int found spell count equals. No, let's just say if this, so we'll have it return a boolean for whether or not there were any search results. No spells found matching, and let's put in quotes the search query. Otherwise, we want to trade these spells. Cool, found spells. Let's go to this bit that's supposed to populate everything. And we could take our code from before, or we could just rewrite it because it's simple. We'll just say int index equals 0 while index is less than all spells. And in our previous one, we said if the length is less than all the spells in the game, and if the length is less than 128, because we used our own array to contain all of the matching spells, but I don't want to use an array in this case. I want to use an actor, and that lets us get around the 128 array limit, which I think is 128. But there's a limit to the size of papyrus arrays that you can create. At least creating that way in the game or something along those lines. But in this case, we're just going to add them to a container. So if the spell equals all spells index, if the spell get name matches, so if string util dot find in this string contains the search query, which is if it's greater than -1, then we will add them to the container. We'll say spells container dot add spell the spell. And we can say bool any matching spells equals false. So in this case, we'll say any matching spells equals true. And we'll return whether there were any matching spells. Cool. Build. Do we need any of this anymore? I don't think we need any of that anymore. Got lots of little files. So it says found spells. Let's again compile it and see it run, and then we're going to hand it off to the trade, the trader kind of thingy. But I want to take what we wrote for that and just copy it over into a new script that works better. It's a little bit cleaner and deals with things like not showing spells that the player already has, and not showing these duplicates that we're currently getting, which we haven't really figured out a fix for. But sometimes just reorganizing your code you'll end up and rewriting it and just refactoring it will just clean up things like that. So this should be the search, and I'll search for fire. Cool, found some fire spells. Unsurprisingly. So, if you found spells, then let's do a what do we have it called currently? And do I want to rename it? There's a spell chooser. That's what we want. We want the spell chooser. We've got a mod chooser menu. We've got a search box. And we want a spell chooser. So we're going to move all of our, where is it? All of our barter NPC code. We're going to remove all of the barter NPC code into this spell chooser. That's a little bit better encapsulated. So on search, we will trigger AddSpellMenu spell chooser, and we'll show it for 2 targets maybe. We'll it kind of needs 3 actors to work. Unless we just let it know who the player is, which is fine. So we've got the spells container, and we search. But then we've got actor player spells. It's kind of like the selected spell container. See if we can just do it like this. Let's just pass along the spells container. Cool. Let's go there. And we'll add function show global end function, and we'll take an actor that has all the spells in it. And we will do a lot of this code from barter NPC. So we moved this thing across, we don't need that anymore. We've moved this across, we don't need that anymore. I don't know if we're going to need this. No, we already did this in our own new way. We should use these 2 things. I'm actually going to, oh yeah, this is fine. I'm going to comment this stuff out and just move it over and delete the file. Spell chooser. This or this or this. I just want a little reference to these 2 things. Now we can get rid of that. And we're going to redo how this list works because we aren't using the barter NPC anymore. We keep flip-flopping between which one we're working on, and every time we do, we just clean it up a little bit better. Spell chooser show. So what do we want to do when we show it? We want to make this menu. We want to have it set up correctly. So what we do is we do have a function on barter spell. We can change its name. That gets called whenever you add or remove a spell in the spell chooser. So let's say on spell chooser add remove spell. And what we do here is we had this quest that we can use to register a mod event. So show is actually going to need a quest just for that purpose. And then we can register for an event on that quest. paste. We'll go to that quest definition and let's rename this. And let's rename this. Come on. Cool, we register it for it. We have it call this. We have to add that over to the quest script for it to work, because that's how callbacks work, but we just delegate the callback back to us, so it works. So here's what we'll do when you add or remove a spell. There's one thing during our search spells and populate container with matches that we didn't do, which is we could say like bool skip player spells equals true. There's really no reason for this to be an argument because it's always going to be true for us. So I won't make it an argument. And we'll say get all the spells, but then we'll also say after a player equals get game get player. And I'm only going to add the spell if the player doesn't already have it. So if we find that the spell matches in the string and not player has spell, the spell. Cool. That'll do for our search. Okay. Because this spell chooser thingy is kind of just dumb. You just give it stuff. You give it a spell container, and we don't want it to know how to do too much stuff. We need to give it a quest. So we pass along the mod quest. Anything not compiling? Things all compile. So we register that event. Now we need to open up the menu and set these things. So the secondary actor is our player to start with. And then it becomes this one-off actor that we kind of use. Let's do this. Okay, so we've got the magic menu and we show it for the game get player. Then when we open it, which we did this stuff last time, we give it the spells container. And we'll just say debug dot message box use selected spell and the spell. We'll uncomment out these. I wish I weren't being so quiet, but it's a lot to focus on, and I'm beat from Dungeons and Dragons, but I want to finish it with y'all. Another example of if this were like Twitch, I'd be engaged and I'd be chatting and answering questions, but it's hard to do that when there's not a ton going on. So I'm just going to say fire. Shows all these things. Here's us and what we have. So I'm going to click on one, Firestorm, use selected spell. Good. So that part is working. hence removing these as we click them, whatever. Okay, so we'll say if the player has the spell, then we won't do anything. Otherwise, we'll add the spell to the player, and we'll add the spell to our temporary container that right now I have being called player container NPC. I could call it like temporary container NPC. Let's do get temp. Actor temp NPC equals and we do want to reset spells. Defaults to true, but I'm just gonna say that to be super explicit about what's happening. Cool, just like we did there. So you can read in that line, you can tell that is resetting the spells. And then we'll take the temp NPC and we'll add just the spell to the NPC. And then we will call, we'll rename the temp NPC. Give player's name equals true. So for the temporary one, we'll add this extra option. And we'll say actor temp actor equals this. We'll return the temp actor. Then we'll also set the temp actor get base object set name to game get player dot get base object get display name, or is it get name? Save. Someone's just pissed about my VS Code papyrus thingy. And then we call this crazy thing that essentially we want to add. Here's what we're really doing. We'll if they have the spell, if they don't have the spell, then we add it to them, and we say something like add spell to player, spell to add as known spell to player spell chooser UI, the spell. And we'll say function add as known spell to the chooser UI spell global end function, and in that we'll encapsulate this nonsense. where to do it, we get an NPC, we add the spell to the NPC, and then we call this crazy thing. Compilation failed, line 25 in chooser. Temp actor, temp NPC. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, 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 cool. This works. I'm gonna pause for a second and drink some tea, and then we'll go back to our figuring out what to do next. I'll definitely save it. Or we can fix the list so it gets hooked up with this. I'll say fire. Let's get fire rune. It says fire rune added. Let's go to prisoner. It says fire rune is here if we escape out of this. And look, we have indeed gotten fire rune. Fire again. It should not show fire rune this time because we already have it. Let's get fireball and firebolt. They should be over here, fireball and firebolt. If we look in our magic menu, we have them here. If we search for fire again, boop boop. Now we'll search for fire again. No spells found matching fire. Let's just amend that with like which the player does not already have. No unlearned. It's good enough for now. We should really make this text dependent upon whether or not we found anything that the player had, but that's a bit much. So let's save this. See, what do we do? Don't add spells that are already on the barter menu. Cool. We need to re-enable the list view. Let's see how easy that would be. Here's search. Let's go to list. It's easy, but let me pause and have my tea, and then we'll do it. Okay, went on a nice dog walk, feeling good, feeling empowered. Let's do this thing, okay? So let's fix the list. We could just kind of copy over what the search looks like and kind of maybe make them match up a little bit. So here's what search looks like. They use a search box and they show it. We are going to use something different and use the mod chooser and show it. So, okay, so that's good. But this is good logic. Let's do something like that. Let's say if the selected mod isn't empty, then we'll do this stuff. Cool. And then they make a spell container. Let's do something kind of exactly like this. Say no spells found in mod and the selected mod, which could be an ESM, so I didn't say mod. We will make the container, and we want the spell chooser show. We want all of that. But we just want a different function that will only look for all of the spells in a mod instead of all spells. So instead of this line where we say search all spells and populate container with matches, let's search mod spells, and we'll pass it the it's just get all mod spells and populate container with matches. So we'll give it the selected mod. And we'll go make this. Copy, spell search, bool function, which will return if there are any, and we'll do string mod file actor spells container global and function, and in this case, instead of using get all spells like that, we'll say spell array all mod spells equals power of 3 SKSE functions dot get all mods, get all spells in mod. Then we'll pass the mod file, comma, AB is playable. We'll use the same thing. True. Let's switch this over. Switch AB is playable to a quest variable later. A configuration. Okay, so, and then we just add them to the container if the player doesn't have them. So it's the same as above, except we don't do the part where we look for whether or not the spell matches. Sure, let's say all spells. Whether it matches a string. So we can literally just get rid of this whole checking the name. And then I think we're done. All right, effect list 17. What's on 17? What's the issue with that? Right there, you silly people. String selected mod equals mod chooser show returns a string which gets returned. Close everything. Oh yeah, let's save. Close out everything. Compile. Fails on effect list 17, the file that's red. Oh, we're such an idiot. Duh. This is the effect list, and this is the search. Duh. We had them side by side just to look at them. And I almost opened them up side by side, just like kind of like this or something. But I won't do that right now. All right, let's see if they both work. And then we will revisit our to-do list. I super want to commit to the GitHub. This episode is so much less exciting than the first two. I feel like the first one was exciting, and the second one was kind of exciting because we dealt with that UIMagicMenu, which was kind of interesting and gnarly. And this is like a clean everything up and actually make it production ready episode. So here's search. We did this before. Fire. Okay, it's leaving. It's going far away. It's fine. Cool, we got those things. So search works. Let's try this. Let's get these teleport spells. Cool, and now before we even do anything, I want to see if this gets fixed. I'm going to the Add Spell menu. No spells found because we already have them. Let's use the same language. This is Add Spell Menu Effect List. Capitalization doesn't matter, but whatever. Which the player does not already have. Sure, it's not a great language, but it works. Let's look at Dragonborn. I'm gonna make sure that it doesn't show up next to the other spells like we were getting. Kind of can't imagine that happening because we fixed the bugs so thoroughly. So I'm gonna add Blink. We should get Blink. Teleport, Shadow Step. Teleport, Shadow Step. We can see up here if you look carefully that they're added in the top left. And ooh, I broke something. When I hit P to open up the regular magic menu, it like freezes for a second. What is up with that? Could that have anything to do with us? Let's quit out and see if there's like a spell that we add that causes that. Because it wasn't when we started. Wonder. I wonder if this thing extends the magic menu and it breaks it in a little bit. That doesn't. So we got those spells from the teleportation spells. Make sure we can look at our spells and it doesn't lag. It doesn't lag. Let's go to teleport spells and let's get Blink. Now we're going to go to our spell menu, and we've got Blink, and it's great. Let's get Omnipresence. Let's go to our menu, Omnipresence. Power Blink. Oops. Let's see if we can get it to do this again. And this last one is teleport. Okay, everything's fine. It's kind of infuriating. Let's go to that. Look at the magic menu. I'd love to break it. We had a bunch of stuff from Dragonborn. Now let's go to our magic list. And it's fine. Let's search for something. We'll search for fire. Get all kinds of stuff. Go to our magic menu. I hate it when that happens. I can't reproduce it breaking. We'll go to Frost and grab a bunch of stuff. It adds it here, which is dope. And I love this menu because you can do stuff like this. It's really great. Cool. So I can't get it to break. I wanted to break because it broke. All right, let's commit this stuff. Both list mods and search are working great. Refactored. Woohoo. Push up. Cool. And as a reminder, this is where this is. my GitHub AddSpellMenu, and I'll add a logo and stuff when we add an MCM menu. But what do we have left to do? Oh, this is the original version. Yeah, maybe. We'll see about that. Okay, we fixed that. Fix that. We haven't done that. We haven't done that. We haven't done that. We did do that. I want to learn to figure out how to ESLify it, but I want to do that off camera, and then maybe I'll come back on camera and tell you what I learned. This could be settable via the console with a global variable without us having to make a mod configuration menu. That's kind of nice. Players would have to set global variable to value, but we could totally do that. Like all my green screens. Hello. Maybe I'll do this to be a little bit more exciting. Hello, I can point at things. Ta-da! Sort of. Let's open up our AddSpellMenu. Open it up now. We're going to make a global variable, and then I'll show you how to set it from the console if you've never done that before. It's one of the cool benefits of global variables. It's a good, easy way to be able to engage and interact with them. If you've got batch scripts that run in the console, you could update a bunch of them. Yeah, I don't know if console util can run the set command that it does when it uses its console execution. I couldn't get batch files to run in console util. So we've got a mod here, add spell. But let's go to miscellaneous global. AddSpellMenu. Playable requires spell tome, which is default to 1. It's an integer that defaults to 1 called require spell tome. We'll hit OK. Let's get a reference to that from our quest. We'll make it a property, I think. I don't have to. Bark. Dog was gone. Barkity bark. Let's not make it a property. Although, do we have to bind it to the? We do. And I don't think there's a way to get a global variable by name, frustratingly. I think it has to be bound. Can you get it using like its form ID or anything? Can you preview one? Use info. I don't seem to have form IDs. They don't seem to be forms. So we've got to do this. Gotta do this. And if I build it, it compiles. CreationKit might be angry because it doesn't have access to some of the dependencies in here. Maybe. We'll find out. We're going to go to our quest, go to its script properties. Cool, we can set it. Autofill. Brum, brum. Cool, let's close out of there. Now we can just have a Boolean available to the other scripts that have access to the quest script. I'll just have a bool property only show spells with spell tomes, and property. And in there I'll have a function called get, which returns a bool, and it will return AddSpellMenu require spell tome dot get int value. Come on. My autocomplete today. I'm just going to type that and see if it works, because I have it memorized. I don't know what's with my autocomplete today. I should like restart. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Maybe the property functions. I bet that's it. I bet it like doesn't know how to do its magic inside of functions, inside of properties, or I did the property wrong. But I think I did the property right. Yeah, I did it fine. That's fine. So everywhere we use that, we use it when we use the search script. So these should now accept Booleans for whether or not to allow non-playable spells. So what do we call in the quest? Only show spells with spell tomes. It's kind of long, but let's use it. Let's just make it small. Sure, we can default them to true. Use this on both of the search thingies, and instead of is playable true, we'll set is playable equals this value. Get rid of this comment, and now when we call this, and I can compile to find the call sites, it'll fail. Should fail because we're not, oh, I gave it a default value, so it won't fail. We call these from the two effects. The effects have access to the quests. So here's the get all mod thingies, and let's do this. It's very long, but we can break this out into new lines, and I'll show you how if you want to, because it's getting really long. We can do this. And slightly better. Let's indent it even further to get it away from this. And let's do the same thing in list. Cool. Let's build. That should compile fine. That's how you add things on new lines. You just got to use the slash. It'll just squish that together. The compiler will. Let's try it. It should work. And by default, we should only see spells that are playable. But we can actually go into the console and change the AddSpellMenu, whatever we called it, global. What do we call it? Let's go to our quests. I'm going to put it here so that we can see it from in-game. Cool, so let's do this one, and we'll look for fire. Here's the fire spells we get. Now, let's set AddSpellMenu requires spell tome to 0. Let's do the same thing, and we're going to look for fire again. This could be a lot of things in a container. This could like break the game. This is a lot of stuff, I think. It's still running. Oh man. So these are all the fire kind of related things like fire effects and whatnot. It doesn't show a whole lot about them. We don't seem to get the effect descriptions, but this is way more useful using this menu. So let's go to teleport spells. Now that we've selected to be able to see things that don't have spell tomes, now that took a reasonable amount of time, much more so. And we can see things like fall damage protection and muffle in here, and there's a remove marker spell. So obviously these are used for internal use. I don't think our spell has anything like that. That's all. Add menu spell. We only have those 2 spells. But I've got a bunch of mods that have spells for just like random stuff that isn't a user playable spell. So I really like the default here of having this set to 1, and then this works really well. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and it comes up, versus putting a ton of things into a papyrus array through that power of 3 papyrus extender and loading it up into this container appeared to take a while, although that didn't seem to be a ton. But again, if we turn it to 0, you could find some really, or to 1, you could find some, or to 0 again. Probably find some really interesting things. It's gonna have to search way more things. It's gonna have to search a bajillion effects. I think that's why it's slow. I think it's thousands and thousands and thousands of effects that are being searched here. Let's look for cloak. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. For this, let's show something in a debug notification that says that this could take a while. So yeah, it's not the amount of things that match, it's just simply due to the pure number of things that it is searching. So here's a bunch of things. Here's things that don't have levels. Blood cloak. Kind of want to see if I'm sure some of those we could add to our player, and they'll just add a cloaking effect or something immediately. potentially, depends on conditions. So let's actually update this and make one change so that it's a little bit more user friendly, and we'll say that when you are searching in the search script for all spells, we'll say if not only show the spells with spell tones, debug notification, and we'll say this may take a while. I kind of want to put it into a translation file, but let's just say let's see if it is a little bit better looking. Let's see what it looks like. Cool, we're at an hour 21. We've got a pretty sweet working tool. I mean, this episode may have been a little bit less exciting. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this episode, but I mean, we made a pretty sweet tool. It'd be super cool if at least one person at home actually followed along with this. And I'm sure your code won't look exactly the same, but you get some of the same deal. Oh, let's go to set AddSpellMenu only. God, what was it called? Requires spell tome to 0. Oops, wrong one. Fire. Searching all spells for fire. This may take a while. That's pretty good. Maybe we can keep updating it every 3 seconds or something until there's a search result. Let's see that. Because it takes a while. I'm not even going to wait for it. So this is in spell search. Ooh, we don't have an update because we're a global. Bool, show search message. How about function show searching notifications. Begin searching notifications. End searching notifications. Event on update. Bool currently searching for spells. On update, if currently searching for spells. We could use states or something for this, but that's super overkill, I think. Debug notification searching spells. to register for update, for single update in like a second. How about we do it every 2 seconds? Cool. Now, when we use the search function, we'll actually give it the quest. Let's make it the first argument. And once we're done, no matter what, we can say modquest.end searching notifications. And cool. Cool. Let's see how it works. I've been big this whole time. I'm so sorry. I wonder how much code you've lost. Thankfully, I'm to like this side of the screen up here, so I don't cover up a lot of the code in the main area. So, maybe. Sorry. One time in an episode, I accidentally played the intro music, and I had no idea. It was just playing for like 12 seconds while I tried to talk over it. So, fire. Set AddSpellMenu requires spell tone, or is it require? Wrong one. Searching all spells for fire. This may take a while. Searching spells, please wait. Searching spells, please wait. Searching spells, please wait. Not bad. This is a pretty good user experience, I feel like. I mean, it's not, but it is. I mean, you're searching for every freaking spell in the game. Not just spells. I mean, you compare that speed to this. Keep doing the wrong one. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and the fact that this, come on, is just papyrus is nice. Should be faster than that, but whatever. I mean, we could still show something in case it's briefly slow on, especially on some people's computers or something. How about see what I did? We'll always show searching all spells for blah. Or let's just say searching spells. Make this searching all spells. Whatever, it's a little bit better. We'll just try really quickly that fire experience for regular spells. Searching spells for fire, not bad. If we can wait for those to go away. It's a nice note. It's a nice little thing that you get there. Wait for those to go away so we can see what the experience is really like without there already being debug notifications. Search for frost. Searching spells for frost. Hey, it's something that your eyes go to fill that gap for that moment. So even if it's 4 seconds, you see that thing and it feels like 2 seconds. You've got like a thing to focus on. UI design. Adds support for searching viewing spells in quotes which don't have spell tomes. Also added some searching notifications for the user. Dog is just like sleeping and like licking her mouth. This isn't that important to me. We could do it, but that's fine. I mean, right now, actually, we get those 2 spells, but I don't want to give you those 2 spells. I want to give you those spell tomes and maybe activatable objects. So let's close everything and go back to our quest. And right now, let's just set all add spells to player to false. Cool. That fixes that. So now we would just get those spell tomes. So actually, if we learned one of the spells and searched, it would work. We'd actually be able to find the other spell that we haven't learned. Now we're not using we're using spells, not powers. That's one difference from add item menu. Loud ambulance. And we don't have an activatable object. Now there is one thing that we owe it to ourselves to do, and that is click on Skyrim for viewing all spells and see how long that takes. And if it's even doable, if it works. Because that's all spells in the main game. So now we actually have to learn these tomes. I'll just do the one that's oh, you already know spell, AddSpellMenu. Do we not recompile this? Guess not. I turned this off. I want to make sure that that works. I don't know if we recompiled. Could come. Dog is just moseying around the apartment. Now we should not have the spells added. We should just have the spell tomes. Cool. Good. That's what the user experience will be like. Let's add this one. Now let's cast that. We should actually be able to see AddSpellMenu spell, because there's one we don't have. We don't have the search one. So that actually works. And let's see how this works. Is that really all the spells? That's super reasonable. I have no reason to think that it's not all the spells. I mean, there's a ton of destruction stuff. There's a ton of bound stuff. Those all show up here. Yeah, I mean, that's super reasonable. That was really fast, actually. It was a lot faster than I expected. Because we're not searching them for something. We're not going through and fetching the display name of each one of them before we put them into that little UI. So I'm pretty happy with this. Let's say I turned off, you can always look at here and see what we did. No longer automatically giving the player the add spell menu spells. Now I don't know how to give a user a power from spell tome. Sure, we could figure that out, but spell tomes have a little drop down for spell. I don't know how they did that. I haven't looked at the code for add item menu, and I have no idea how they did that activatable object thing. I have no idea. I kind of wonder if it's you use like the on equip or on equipped callback for an item. I don't know. Should we do this? Not in this episode. In this episode, we've got a pretty sweet working thing. It's like, it's got like 80%, I feel like, of the functionality that add item menu does. And like, really so far as users are concerned, I feel like it has 95 to 99% of the functionality. 99% of the functionality. I've only used add item menu to, search stuff. There is one feature that add item menu has that we don't, which is when you search, first it'll search the list of mods, and if there are any mods that match, it'll show you the list of mods, and also give you an option to search all items. I've never found this super useful. I guess it's useful if you've got like 300 mods, which I often do. So we could do that. Let's just add it to the list. I want to ESLify this. Obviously, there's getting it on Nexus. There's search list of mods. That's doable, and the code would actually be fun. Use activatable objects. There's also add a pack of the tomes and objects to the player. I mean, those are cool things to actually learn how to do. There's no reason not to. And this series is about learning how to do stuff. So if you're here, you're probably learning how to do stuff. I don't know how many folks are here, but I hope you're here. If you're here, please tell me. Say so down in the comments. Tell me that there's something else you want to see. Recommend a different location for us to always teleport to. Still looking for a better place to always teleport to. Yeah. I'm going to do these things tomorrow. I kind of want to record a shorter, more concise screencast and get it out there tonight, or today, or tomorrow morning on like Papyrus Util or maybe UIExtensions. I'm worried that if I start doing the UIExtensions mini-series, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and learn how to do Flash Swift stuff, and those will be bonus episodes. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, this has been fun. Hangout will definitely return for part 4, where we are going to go through and do some of these things. Yeah, we're gonna do it together. And I'll try and be more awake, and I will try and talk to you more, and I will try to not be big in front of the code when there's code behind me, when I'm supposed to be small. I won't be big. Whoops, different screen. Big when I'm supposed to be small. This is me learning OBS Studio. Okay, here we go, and let's peace out, and I will see you soon in this episode or any other on Skyrim scripting. So happy modding. Happy modding, y'all.